Is Eastenders not really feeling like Eastenders at the moment? Is it starting to feel a bit like Hollyoaks? Hi and welcome to Everything Eastenders, the channel where we're going to explore everything to do with the long-running British soap opera Eastenders. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the epic fail that was the festive season for Eastenders. I'm going to be going over what went wrong and just why it was crap. But first, I want to talk about the departure of Iqra Ahmed's character. A great disappointment, but also just so weirdly done. It was last night's episode, 3rd of January, and it was just really weird. There was just a conversation with her and Bobby where she's talking about how she's got a new job at a hotel, so she's leaving. But there was mention of this before, but right at this moment, EastEnders are quite poorly, in my opinion. Not that it's a bad thing that they're doing this story, but that the way they're doing it. And, you know, the main target is Muslims, and she's really apart from Bobby Beale, who is deemed a race traitor by this far-right group, is the only other real Muslim character on the show, and I really don't get that. Why she's leaving at such a critical stage, why they've written it and coincided it with Iqra Ahmed's departure. Sorry, I should check the actress's name. So Priya is leaving, and I'll check out why in a second. Maybe there's an article, I'm sure she's going on to a lot of things. She's really talented, and I'm gonna really miss her character. I feel they haven't made the most out of the character like they could have. They had her involved in some potentially really good storylines. The FGM storyline, which they just kind of seem to resolve within a week, apart from the odd mention here and there. And her relationship with Mila, her relationship with Ash, none of that has been addressed. It was just like one quite seemingly sad conversation with Bobby Beale about it. But we're not talking mainly about that. Maybe it fits in with this whole thing that's going on with EastEnders at the moment. This whole issue of poorly written storylines, poorly executed storylines, bad writing, and these are factors that contributed, not all of it, but big parts of it contributed towards the festive period being a real disappointment for myself, and I know for a lot of fans as well. So for records, EastEnders Christmas episodes before have been explosive. They're the episodes that you look forward to the most, and they tend to have storylines that have been bubbling for months, not just Christmas, New Year as well. They'll be bubbling for absolute months in advance, and there'll all be rumors of, what do you think, what storyline do you think will take center stage at Christmas? And that's the problem. I think, not just myself, but a lot of other fans have commented on this as well, that the real issue, in my opinion, was a complete lack of focus and a real I think the writers spread themselves too thin. I think everything was just too much. So with EastEnders, with Christmas, let's start with Christmas. What did they have on Christmas? I was telling a friend about what they were doing for Christmas, like what had happened in the episode, and they were just like, so many things, so many storylines. I was like, yeah. And it was a chore to watch through. Usually the Christmas episodes are so explosive. We've had the Max and Stacey affair reveal, Angie and Den divorce. Obviously that was, I think, before I was born. But I think that is an iconic episode that everyone talks about to this day, along with the Max and Stacey reveal. Linda revealing that Dino had assaulted her to Mick, and then Mick subsequently finding out that Dino's actually his brother and Shirley's his mum. See how usually there's one thing that happens, but it just opens up so many other doors for a single issue storyline to do with the characters and things like that, because EastEnders has always been very character led. And and about character development. And the real appeal of EastEnders has always been its grittiness and its realism, its social realism. Not saying that EastEnders is an exact life for life, but a lot of the time, and the best storylines have been issue based. For example, domestic violence and things like that. So with this EastEnders, there were on Christmas Day, it was about Gray. It was supposedly the main thing was about Gray and Chelsea and Whitney and the whole trying to convince Chelsea not to marry Gray because she was going to marry Gray. And that was just so dry. It was just done in such a dry way. And the problem is that whole domestic violence storyline, you know, again, not just myself, other fans and other commentators on YouTube and otherwise have discussed how the domestic violence storyline on EastEnders was severely trivialized. You had this build up, and you had a fantastic actress, Jessica Plummer, who did that storyline incredible justice, and sadly ended with the actress leaving because her husband in the show, her husband Gray, kills her. And that was meant to reflect, you know, the actual statistics of domestic violence. But then they go and completely trivialize Chantel's death by turning Gray into a serial killer. Really weird serial killer. Like, first he kills Tina to cover up his first crime. Okay, you've kind of, what are you doing? But okay, whatever. And then he just pushes Kush onto the tube track. Conveniently, the CCTV isn't working. So, it was just rubbish what they've done with the storyline and dragged it out so that even over a year after Chantel's death, there's no resolution, there's no poetic justice, there's no reveal, nothing at all. They showed, I was worried because it seemed like Kira had sided with Gray, that actually he was just putting on a front to try and get on his side and find something out to prove that he indeed killed Chantel. So Kira's always been, you know, on that side, and I think that was a really underdeveloped plot point that they had with Kira. All of a sudden now he's obsessed with Stacey. You know, I'm really glad that Stacey's back and all of this stuff, but I'm just not enjoying where they've taken Kira's character, if I'm perfectly honest, in terms of his relationships and his romantic side. But yeah, that aside, the Kira-Chantel relationship aside, now we have him marrying Chelsea, which in itself has been really rushed. Really, it just feels like they've been coming up with storylines at the last minute to try and make things work. But they show then Whitney going into to try and stop the wedding happening. First, her very first attempt is to go to Gray and try and seduce him to stop the wedding going ahead. I mean, really, Whitney, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's your first thing to do. And then that doesn't work because, you know, Gray, for some reason, he's a one-woman guy. You know, he chooses one woman to torment. Whitney then goes to Chelsea, and in a really drawn-out, poorly written exchange, she starts to doubt Gray. Chelsea now starts to doubt Gray. But now, of course, Gray comes when he sees that she's doubting things, and she's like, oh, Whitney told me this stuff. And he's like, oh, well, Whitney tried to kiss me this morning. So obviously now she doesn't believe Whitney. And she goes ahead and marries him. Then everyone hates on Whitney. And yeah, all of a sudden she believes her, though, when Whitney sends Chelsea screenshots of Chantel's blog. So this blog miraculously appeared. Again, like I said, coming up with things at the very last minute to just make things work. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we could have seen this blog. If this was a real thing, we could have seen it while Chantel was alive, her writing on it. Where did this come from? Where did the blog come from all of a sudden? And it ends with Chelsea saying, I believe you. And that was it, you know. But there was also the side storyline of the Rocky reveal that Dottie ended up doing. And you kind of can see why the matriarch Dot Cotton left EastEnders. You can really understand it. that reveal, that Christmas reveal, already slotted into the middle of a major storyline. It was just appalling. It was just really bad. Sonia and Kathy's reaction was very muted, kind of expected, but again, like, even when you're expecting a certain reaction in EastEnders, like anger and all of that stuff, it's the acting that carries it through, it's the acting and the writing that will carry those scenes through and make EastEnders what it is. But yeah, no, none of that. Even last Christmas was better, but why is it like this? Even on New Year's Day, something that I wanted to talk about, New Year's Day, there was a scene where Aaron is about to detonate the bomb, and so Aaron is a member of a far-right group, and his dad's found out that he's about to detonate a bomb, and Aaron decides at the last minute not to, and that whole scene was just so badly done. I know I'm being really negative about this, but it was genuinely just hard to sit through, and not because of the subject material or anything like that, just because it was poorly done, badly executed, and to a degree you do have to hold the executive producers responsible and the people behind the show who are okaying this and okaying these storylines. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm just not a fan of how this is being done. And I think the festive period, like I said, are episodes that we look forward to the most over, our time as EastEnders fans, because we always know it's going to be explosive, and we have good expectations too. I remember the Max and Stacey affair. At the time, I was like, oh my god, this is so long and drawn out, but the Christmas episode was so horrifying to watch. The reveal when they're all sitting around watching that DVD, and the affair between daughter-in-law and father-in-law is exposed. It's just so cringy, but such a good episode. I say what we like about EastEnders is that it's gritty, that it's raw. That's how the show has always sort of sold itself. But those elements were completely lacking, and especially when you've just got these over-dramatized scenes. The cutting and the editing, I just don't know who okayed this. I don't know who watched this and thought, do you know what? This is going to be a classic EastEnders episode. 2021 is, I don't know if it's the social distancing or whatever, but I've noticed that these changes have been around in EastEnders since about the time that the new executive producer took over, Kate Oates. And I can't say that she's directly responsible for everything, but all I'm saying is that she has certainly taken the show in a certain way, and she has a certain vision for the show. And that's not to say that she hasn't brought good things to it, and good things haven't happened. But again, and at times they've tackled things that needs to be tackled, but then the execution of them has been not great and not EastEnders. I'm not a fan of these scenes with the music over the top. And look, I know it can't be how it used to be. I know that, I don't know why, but even you don't have to go so far back. You even watch episodes from 2010. Currently, they're streaming 2009 episodes. They also have a backlog till 2008 on the BBC iPlayer website. So do check it out. Watching those episodes, you can really see a stark difference between those episodes and the ones of today. And with those episodes, you can, again, really see the difference between what you are getting and what you are watching today. But even going further back to 2016, I think Dominic Treadwell Collins actually did, I know he wasn't popular with a lot of people, but I thought he did a lot of good things with the show. And it's a shame that the show is where it is at the moment. And again, I know 4 episodes a week is a lot to do. I don't know if they need to dial it back or whatever. I think I'm going to do another episode looking into the longevity of the show and what can be done for that. But, because ultimately I am an EastEnders fan, and this is not a slight against the actors or the writers themselves or anything. Obviously it's just being taken in a certain direction, and I don't know if that direction is good for the show. and it feels to me a lot more like kind of Hollyoaks, with the way things are over dramatized and the way music and things are done. Just my opinion, but like I said, that was my review of the festive period, my quick intro video. But I'll be doing more. Maybe I'll be doing a review later on this week of the 2009 episodes. Maybe let me know what you'd like down in the comments. Do subscribe for more, and thank you for watching.